So Jeff, 1990, man, it's an interesting time in your career. This is when you really start to get your first national exposure, right?
Yeah, and man, when I when I started reading the research, and I couldn't recall all this, but in this is the year that so I started April of '86, Conrad. So I'm in the business a little over 3 years at this time, and somebody said the other day they counted the amount of matches, and I think folks are way off because 7 days a week, legitimately 7 times a week, because twice on Saturday. So minimum 6, 7 days a week for 3.5 years. I think about how lucky I was to get all those matches, but I had been in the gym and I was getting a rhythm and getting a cadence. And like you said, the ESPN kind of exposure, but going to Dallas, and by this time, the WWE relationship and Marty and Sean had been through, and different talents and Bachwinkle, and I could go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, my confidence level really began to grow about year 3, because I would have Lawler or Dundee or Dutch or other guys in there that because I didn't say a word in my matches. I don't know how long. First, I don't know, a couple of years. I don't know when it was, but it got to, even though as a babyface, that I would sit down with my opponent and maybe kind of, I don't say call the match, but at least kind of the direction. And then in the ring, especially on those spot shows, it was different guys coming in. And if I'm working twice a night, at the first match, I would for sure call it. So my confidence level, Conrad, kind of went along with the national exposure that I was, to me, really becoming into a storyteller, if you will.
So let's talk about what's happening in 1990. If you haven't already, I encourage you to check out the archives for our episode called Daddy Buys Dallas. We did a whole series there where we're talking about your dad taking over the Fritz von Erich promotion. And so what we're going to have now is really an opportunity for you to have your dad's show shown in syndication and on ESPN. And we should talk about just the way things have been happening with Memphis television. For years, the Memphis show was a live 90-minute television show that really only aired in Memphis, but then it was cut down to an hour, and we had localized promos that would air a week later in the rest of the territory. And then at the start of 1990, well, that all changes. While the Memphis show is unchanged, what the rest of the loop gets changes drastically. The 60-minute show will now be hosted by Michael St. John in a control room, throwing to matches from both of the local USWA TV shows, which were shot on Saturday mornings, while pretending that everything was live. Why do you think you guys made this change? Is it out of necessity with the travel, or is there something else?
Well, travel, I mean, all the above. And I know, and I hope people follow along here, but hey, man, in '86, that was really the last, I'll call it, decent year. '85, great year. '86, again, it always coincides with the building of WrestleMania. And so you look at the territory, on a bar graph. 86 was less than 85. 87 was less than 86. And, so now we're here at 1990, and to have the opportunity. And that's why I know most people listening to this podcast today can't really wrap their head around. You mean to tell me professional wrestling was on ESPN every afternoon at 3:00, Monday through Friday? And I know it's the 90-91 era, but for years and years and years, that Saturday morning Memphis show, as you said, was absolutely live in Memphis, but in Nashville, Louisville, and Evansville, those viewers thought it was live because it was the same show, just 30 minutes taken out, which was localized from Memphis. Then with the acquisition of the Dallas territory, we had to try to tell, we were adding a massive, the size of DFW versus Memphis is not even comparable. So as far as bringing in the potential to create revenue and live events with the Texas territory and cut down on some live events in the Memphis territory, it was massive. So how do we make it work from a television perspective? My old man really tried multiple things. We knew having Michael St. John pitch and trying to create the live effect. It did not achieve it just because of just the nature of it all. But Old Man certainly wanted to keep that. But we were trying to air content from both territories, growing pains, survival pains, all the above.
Let's talk about what you're doing creatively. You know, the big feud at the start of the year is with your longtime former tag team partner, Billy Joe Travis. It's going to climax in a guitar on a pole match that Vince Russo didn't book. But it was a lot more wild and violent than if you've maybe never seen USWA or maybe you thought you were familiar with it. Well, this is another level. Tell the audience everything they need to know about Billy Travis.
Oh boy. God rest his soul. Billy left us way too early with some demons. But man, oh man, what a sweetheart of a guy. A man from Eastern Kentucky. Look it up. At one time, he was the Kentucky State High School high jump champion. He had big hops. But man, the business came probably too easy to him. He did a little bit of enhancement stuff for WWF back in the mid 80s, but he was a guy that just, again, came too easy, worked a few different territories. He loved the Tennessee territory. He was around when I broke in. They put us together, and I don't want to say he took me under his wing, but in a lot of ways he would. But we traveled together, run up the roads together. But just he could be a heel or baby face. Again, he could do either one super good. He went out to Dallas, ended up living out there for years. He just a really hilarious, but a really good talent that had great fire as a baby face, but just never got to that next level. In a lot of ways, like I said, he never took the business too serious, including getting in the gym and everything that goes with that. But I think it came back to he was the last kind of a territory guy, and just never took life or the business too serious.
We know that you guys were good partners, good opponents. I mean, y'all had good chemistry in the ring. When you think about your all-time, dance partners, chemistry wise in the ring, is he in your top 5, top 10? Where would he rank? I mean, I know he's not on a lot of people's radar, and I know last year even you were probably surprised with how much chemistry and how well it came across on camera with you and Hangman. But this is a deeper cut. Not everybody got to see Billy Travis, but I feel like I see his name with yours so much when you were early in your career. I just can't help but think you guys got on the same page, right?
Owen, as far as tag team, Owen 1, Jay Lethal 2, just because of me and Jay, just the right hand knows what the left hand's doing, and we know our roles. I'm trying to think. I love teaming with Lawler, but you would never call us a team.
Right.
I also, Robert Fuller, it was such a man. He taught me. So yes, we were good partners and drew money here in Tennessee, but as far as quote unquote a tag team, yeah, but Billy, the chemistry wise, Paul Diamond, Pat Tanaka, we had a series of matches. Me and Billy, I'll never forget, that was the first really good run, me and Billy against the Rock and Roll RPMs. And when you had different spot show promoters all over our territory, whether it's high school gyms or armories, basically saying, hey, can we get Jarrett and Travis on our cards? That was the first time that I'm like, okay, so our chemistry, yeah, he's top 5, Conrad. Easy, I would say.